and welcome. It's You, an Unsolved Mysteries rewatch podcast that's super unofficial. Brought to you by Liz and
Samantha.
yes, we did it. Hello everyone. Hello BD Wong. Hello 5 listeners. We're so happy to have you with us today. Today was the day of our dog bandana and face mask sale to support our local library system, including libraries that were recently damaged during the rebellion. So thank you to everyone that bought some items. That's pretty cool.
It really I was expecting to sell a couple. And granted, the sale is still going on, so by the time this comes out on Thursday, we might be totally sold out. But I'm already kind of blown away by
Some stuff sold out so fast.
almost immediately. Like, people were waiting. Like, this is a concert or something. Where you have to, like, it sells out in 3 seconds, so you have to be, like, at work refreshing your computer.
Right. Oh, I've definitely been that person. The person that has like 3 browser things open so you can keep trying. Yeah.
It seems like some people are really ready for this mask sale, and we cannot thank you enough.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. We'll raise some money for the library.
If you bought some stuff, we
Yeah.
want to see pictures, especially of your pets wearing
Oh
the
my
bandana.
god, yes. That's a
Please
must.
send them. Actually, it's required. Purchase requires that you take a photo of your pet wearing the bandana
Part
and
of
then
the obligation.
send it to us.
Yeah, why don't I'm going to use a hashtag PIY for sale.
All right.
And that'll be on the items that are still available when this comes out.
Oh,
so
good
that you
idea.
can easily see what is still in stock. Everything that's sold out, if I like know that it is sold out, I've changed the caption to say so, but it'll just be easier to search that way. So PIY for sale. I already checked. That's not a thing. That's not gonna like bring you into something gross somehow.
It's always a concern.
You gotta check. You really gotta check. So yeah, that's exciting. We're gonna have lots of masks and doggy bandanas to send out. And then you can have pride in having helped a library. One of the purest and most helpful things you can do.
Absolutely.
So that's what's going on with me. Oh, I had jury duty last week and the week before, and everyone, including myself, sad to say, didn't end up on a jury.
It really is a bummer. I was on the edge of my seat for like 2 weeks, hoping you would get on that jury. And for a second there, it really seemed like you might.
For a second, it was down to, there was like 15 of us. We were waiting outside of a courtroom, like the judge and the stenographer, and people were already in there. Because of COVID, they had changed some of the procedures. So we had already done part of the voir dire process as an online survey, which was like, your employment history, tons of very invasive questions about whether you've ever been the victim of a crime or anyone who's ever been a victim of the crime. I can't imagine being able to put no crimes. What are those? But I was really kind of hoping I would get asked about a couple of my answers to the questions in like a weird way. Okay, so there was one question that was like, do you think the jury process is fair? No, absolutely not. And then there was one question that was like, do you think, I think it was the judicial system works? These questions are also right next to each other, and they're both very vague. And so I put for that one, yes. Because I think it does work as intended. Like, I don't think it's broken. I just think
it was designed to perpetuate inequalities.
Yeah. I think it's just, to maintain the status quo. So, like, yes, it works. Is that the question? I don't know. I was kind of hoping it'd be like, why did you put yes, it's unfair? No, it's unfair, but yes, it works. Like, that seems weird. I was like, I'm just answering the questions as answered. You had to say that you like, it was basically under oath. You had to like sign away that your answers were true. So, but at the last minute, there was a plea deal. So we just went home and I didn't get to be on a jury or do any cool jury stuff. And I was kind of bummed. But also,
I had this whole fantasy in my head where you were on this jury. It was like a high profile case. You were like the jury foreman. You were like forcing everyone to like stay and like go through the I don't know. I just
You
think
know
that would
I would have
be
been in there, like, yelling at everybody, so
yeah, that would be that would make great podcast content. I feel like you can't talk about those things, like, publicly, but eventually, right?
I mean,
Eventually,
after the
we'll
case is
get
done, you can. You just can't
yeah.
do it, like, during the deliberations or during the trial. But yeah, it turns out I have nothing to talk. I just literally, like, called a bunch of times, spent one day just sitting in a room, and then one day showing up to court and then being told I could go home, so it was anticlimactic. Hopefully, I didn't get COVID. That was my other concern, but
Yeah, you did have to go sit in a room with other people.
with strangers. Yeah, so it really wasn't that interesting. Sorry, everyone. I was hoping I would have a great story of, I don't know, justice or something.
Dang. Yeah, that is disappointing, but it's how it goes most of the time, I think.
I sort of felt like after I answered those questions, I was like, there's no way that I'm going to end up on a jury, because they also wanted to know every organization you had ever volunteered for or given money to. And I just
How
gave
could
a
you
bunch of,
possibly know
yeah, I also,
every organization
I
you've
saw,
ever given money to?
I can't possibly remember, but like very recently, I just gave a bunch of money to like reclaim the block. So
Right.
I don't know that they really want me on a jury.
Yeah, that they might disqualify
They
you
might be
from
like,
that
wait
one.
a minute. You don't even like the police. Like, yeah, no. Oh, good times. Okay. I do have an update that I keep forgetting to share. This that we got an email from listener Kate, who said, I just finished listening to season 3, episode 3, and you two were wondering if romance constant crime was still common and has it moved online. I mean, we assumed so, but we didn't know the specifics. The answer is yes. I do cybersecurity stuff, so this is my area. According to the
Ooh.
FBI's Internet Crime Report, it has the 6th most victims in internet crimes and the 2nd highest financial loss at 362 million in 2018. I feel like that's supposed to be more. But anyway, to put this in perspective, that is 3 times the amount of money lost in corporate data breaches and 4 times the amount of money lost to credit card fraud annually.
Wow.
Love your show, Kate. So there you go. There's a little stats to warn you to watch out for those sweetheart swindlers that are out there trying to romance your grandma and take advantage of the fact that she doesn't really know how the internet works. So I don't know. Maybe take a day to sit down with her, talk to her about the dangers of the internet.
Yeah, teach her what catfishing is, and yeah,
I,
that's
I don't think
wild.
either of my grandmas really use the internet, but maybe I should look into that further and make sure they don't.
Just be sure. This is good to
Yeah.
check. Grandma, what are you doing on the
Grandma,
internet?
what are you up to? What are you up to when you get up so early? Yeah, that is disturbing. That takes a real sort of low life crook
Yeah.
prey on people like that.
Wow. Well, I guess things don't really change all that much, do they?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like they're still out there. They just have to change their methods a little bit. Yeah, I guess they're more catfish now. This won't be an issue once we send all men to the moon. We'll solve
No.
that problem.
We need a little bit more podcast, and we
We're
can make
working
that
on it.
happen.
Oh, if only we weren't giving this dog bandana money to the library. We need it for the moon colony.
It's gonna set us back a little bit, but we'll
Oh,
make up for it. I'm confident.
yeah. Do we have any other updates? I feel like I
I
always
don't
forget once
think
I sit down.
so,
It's one of
but
those
I
things.
have been meaning to ask you what your mom thought of those romance novels you sent her. If we got any more like
Oh yeah.
werewolf information out of any of these books you
I
sent.
don't know that she's read them yet. I'll have to call her for an update. I recently found a lot of just random paranormal romances that someone was selling on Macari, and it was pretty cheap, so I was just like, whatever, I'll send this to my mom, because one of the books was called Werewolf Smackdown.
That's the one I'm really curious. I need to
Who
know the
could
plot of Werewolf
who
Smackdown.
could resist? And I don't know the plot because it was literally just a shot of 4 covers, and I was like, do you want these books? Like, you had to get all of them, you know? And I didn't like look them up to see what they were about. I was just like, yep, buying those. So there was also Rhymes with Witches and something about a masquerade was one, and I can't remember what the 4th one was. But and then it occurred to me, like, I had never really thought about just like buying random paperback books. as a lot, but that's something you can do. And they have that, on eBay, tons of just like get a box of paranormal romances. So I sort of feel like my new hobby is going to be just buying my mom random ass books and having them sent to her. And then maybe we could get some little book reports on
I'm dying
which
to
ones
know,
are good.
particularly the plot of Werewolf Smackdown. So we will have
No,
to
I
get an update
love
on that.
okay, when I was a kid, my mom could read like 2 Harlequin romances a day. She's a very fast reader. So we spent a lot of time at the used bookstore taking back romance novels and trading them in for other. There was this perpetual cycle. So I spent a lot of time at used paperback bookstores. And there's something about those covers, those
Oh
like
yeah.
early 90s, 80s covers that were like, some artists had to like hand paint a werewolf like biting a woman's neck seductively, or just like the most ridiculous things people used to paint as these covers. And I don't even know that, I don't think they usually even read the books. They just were like given a vague gist. And they were like, okay, so there's going to be a cemetery. There's going to be like a hot headless horseman. And then sometimes you're reading the book and you'd be like, where's this thing from the cover? And it would like never show up. But covers are like much less specific now. Um, there's just something that, yeah, God, so good. Brings back some really good memories. So I was looking for more books to send her, and I actually sent her another box. And it's a little bit more, also has a bit more of a chick lit slant to this selection.
Okay.
But I wanted it. If you are familiar with the show, you may know that my mom has been seeking more gargoyle romance novels. There's a lack. She'll read literally if you put something up that's like a romance for free on Kindle, she's probably read it. If your book has like kinky werewolves, she's read that book. So she was saying there was a real lack of gargoyle romances. And I found a box of books that has this book called The Stone Prince, which is about a woman who flips houses in Texas. And also, and her home has like an erotic sculpture garden.
This seems promising.
And she kisses one of the statues and it comes alive.
Yes. Is it a gargoyle?
It's not a gargoyle. It's just like a hunky dude statue,
Okay,
like
well.
David or something. But I was like, okay, this is pretty close to gargoyles. I'm getting this book. Well, then it turned out to like buy that book used was like $20 to $30. I posted this box of 9 of them for 10. So I was like, whatever. You get this whole box of books. My mom's like, sounds good to me. All the other ones were about like different magical men. They were all magic in some way.
Okay, okay.
But I'm
This
very
is a very unique concept, kissing a statue and then it comes to life. Could someone
no.
try it with the Mothman statue?
Yes. Yes. When are we getting that Mothman romance book about us, by the way?
I cannot wait.
The,
I
the,
cannot
the
wait.
greatest accomplishment of my life that I have very little to do with. Can't wait. So maybe we can get an update on Werewolf Smackdown and also The Stone Prince.
The Stone Prince. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And if you have any other suggestions for other books like that you think I should send my mom, I mean, it's got to be cheap, but send them my way. I saw another series that seems like adult Animorphs. It's like
Ooh.
werewolves, but they turn into leopards, like sexy leopards.
Okay, okay.
I might send her that one as well.
Why not?
I mean, she's stuck at home. I don't want her going out, so.
Adult Animorphs. There's of course does not surprise me at all if this exists.
Yeah, I just hadn't really thought about it, I guess. I think she told me about one that involved like people, I don't know. There's one that had people turning into like all sorts of animals, including like rodents and stuff. And I was just like dying laughing at the idea of like weremice and their romances. But
Well,
I mean, sexy leopards, that's more like cat people. I don't know. Everybody's like, what is Liz talking about? I thought this was about Unsolved Mysteries.
oh yeah, Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah, well, one of the unsolved mysteries is why did someone write the Book of the Stone Prince? And I don't have a solution to that mystery.
Well, some mysteries remain unsolved.
So I have been slowly watching the new Unsolved Mysteries reboot episode.
Yeah.
God damn, are they sad?
What? Oh yeah, I feel
God
like I should
damn.
have warned you better about that. They are, and they get progressively sadder.
Oh God.
Like, the
I
first one starts out pretty sad, the second one is sad, the
sad.
next one was
So
sadder than
sad.
that. It's like everyone kind of how many episodes are you into it?
I haven't watched the Alien one yet.
Okay.
So I think I've watched 4,
Okay, yeah,
if that sounds right.
I think so.
Um, yeah. When you get more detail to the mystery, no surprise, it gets a lot sadder.
Yeah, and,
You
more
feel
family
more for the
members.
families. You learn more about their family and their lives, and you hear from more of their family members, and then you're just like, oh God.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's pretty heartbreaking.
There is actually, when Unsolved Mysteries dropped those episodes, they also started a thing on Reddit with like all the information. So I'll post a thing to that in our group if anybody wants to try to solve these mysteries. If
Yeah,
you think,
apparently they're getting some credible tips.
yeah, if you think that maybe, maybe you live in the area of one of these mysteries and you feel like you would be able to solve it, I'll post a link to that. That's kind of cool that there's like some behind the scenes stuff, like extra footage of people talking and whatever evidence has been compiled that's available to the public. They put it all in one place on Reddit. So I don't know, maybe we're going to solve some of these mysteries. I read an article. Oh my God, who was that from? So the article I was talking about, yeah, it's on Thrillist. It's called Netflix Dropped a Ton of New Evidence from Unsolved Mysteries Cases on Reddit. So this is why I had posted this in the group, because I thought people would be interested in that. And I can post a direct link to that too. But the thing so it talks a little bit about, the old show versus the new show. It's not the greatest article. But at the end, it's like, it remains to be seen if Unsolved Mysteries will carry on one of its other legacies from the other series, occasionally solving some mysteries. Occasionally? That's just rude. How dare they? Thanks to viewers' tips, more than half of these mysteries were solved. I mean, some of them are unsolvable. Some of them are about a magic rock. But a lot of the ones that are solvable are solved. Way more than half. Occasionally solving some mysteries, please. Please. Thrillist, get it
Yeah,
together.
I think that's an egregious error on
That
the
is an
part of
egregious
Thrillist.
error. Maybe I'll write in. Maybe I will write a polite but firm email. Excuse me, Thrillist. First of all, where do you get off? How dare you? Maybe read a
Yeah, that
book.
is pretty rude.
Check your sources.
That is pretty rude. Give
Occasionally,
Robert Stack his due.
yeah. Disgusting. So make sure you block Thrillist on your computer so that website never comes up again. You won't accidentally look at it. Okay, should we talk about the episode now? Or just keep
I
talking
think
about what
we
we
should.
think happens in the Stone Prince when that statue comes alive and is so sexy? Okay, so we're on season 5, episode 15.
Yes, and there is a lost treasure mystery.
There is a super long treasure mystery, and for Samantha's benefit, her luck, she didn't get it. But actually, I really like this mystery. So
It was actually interesting, and I do think that the treasure is real, actually.
Oh, I think this treasure is real for sure. Okay,
So this one is a rare, credible treasure mystery.
and it's quite long. It's like more than half the episode. So get ready, get ready to hear a lot of my voice. Unsolved Mystery wants you to know that from 1965 to 1986, Ferdinand Marcos was the ruler of the Philippines, and by the end of it was said to be worth 10 billion, much of it looted from his own people. Few spoke out against him because he was originally democratically elected but became a dictator, as will probably happen in this country soon. So few were willing to speak out against him, but in May 5th of 1971, the newspapers ran this story, and it was about a locksmith and part-time treasure hunter named Roger Rojas, who was accusing Marcos's henchmen of ransacking his house and stealing a rare solid gold Buddha that Rojas has found while excavating near his home. Just days earlier, his brother had taken a photograph of Roger and the Buddha statue. So now you see there is proof of this treasure. I guess you could debate whether or not it's solid gold, but there are pictures of him with this Buddha statue. Roger was 27 at the time, and Ferdinand Marcos died in Hawaii in 1989, and his estate was dealing with a number of lawsuits at the time that this aired, and this was including one from Rojas. So, back to the beginning of the story, in 1970, Roger Rojas and his family lived on the island of Luzon. Like many in the area, he enjoyed treasure hunting on the weekends, which makes that place sound pretty cool, I have to say, despite our attitude towards treasure. If there's just like a bunch of treasure hunting hobbyists, I don't know, maybe there's a lot of treasure to find. He was friends with another treasure hunter named Albert Fujigami. His father had been an officer in the Japanese army during World War II. Fujigami had recreated maps from memory based on what his father had showed him as a child. And what these maps were of was like a tunnel system underground that was leading to a fortune in gold. It had supposedly been left behind when the Japanese army was kicked out of the Philippines. So they got together a whole crew of people to dig, and after a few weeks, they did actually locate the tunnels, which had been dynamited shut. The tunnel system was really elaborate and even included like small train tracks. So after exploring for a while, they realized that all access to the main passageway had been blocked off by other dynamite explosions. So they ended up digging a new tunnel. Roger, who we're hearing from in like Unsolved Mysteries present day, he's telling us this story that he went through the tunnel first because they weren't really sure like how safe it was, and he didn't want other people to get hurt. So he goes through this tunnel and he enters a cavern and he comes across at least 10 human skeletons. There were people who worked in these tunnels that were just abandoned when they got sealed shut.
This was horrible.
Yeah. Using the map his friend made, they knew where like this map that his friend made from memory was apparently like very accurate because they knew where to break through in the floor to find the treasure. Like there wasn't a tunnel that went directly to it. So they break through the floor and they're just surprised to discover a solid gold Buddha that apparently weighed 2,000 pounds. Roger tells us that the statue was not native to the Philippines and he suspected it was looted by soldiers somewhere else in Asia. Further in, so then they go through that hole that's kind of in the floor. They find this big gold Buddha, and then like further through that hole, they find more tunnels, and there's boxes and boxes of solid gold bars in the like stored down there. So they didn't have the equipment to remove everything right away because it was so heavy. So their plan was to reclose the tunnel by dynamiting it shut, sell the Buddha, and then use that money to rent trucks and equipment. And then they would come back to get the rest of the gold. So Roger's friend seems super trusting because he lets Roger just take the Buddha home. And he very quickly found a prospective buyer. And I think the buyer gives him like a down payment and is going to get the rest of the money together. But he notices that the buyer was paying very close attention to the neck on the statue. So after he leaves, Roger and his brother use this like piece of wood and a hammer to like gently shimmy the head off, and it like neatly comes off. And then the body of the statue is actually hollow, and that is full of diamonds.
This is like the world's best treasure.
It's such an Indiana Jones moment. It's like something that would happen in a children's book to be like, not only was this a gold statue, but when you took off the head, it was full of rare diamonds. Like, oh my goodness.
Piles of gold bars.
Yeah, this is quite a treasure. But I mean, I guess if you're an army that's invading and looting, then maybe you do end up with some treasure. So anyway, he took the diamonds out of the statue and hid them in the closet because his deal with the buyer was only for the statue. It didn't include a statue's worth of diamonds. At this point, like 2 months goes by, and I'm not really sure what happened there. But so after 2 months after bringing the statue home, Roger Rosehouse's house is swarmed by soldiers. There's a reenactment of them like breaking in through windows. They just like all storm in like a SWAT team. And at this point, also the prospective buyer appears, and Roger realizes that he's been double-crossed. So the soldiers are there, and they ransack his entire house. They not only take the statue, which, okay, in the reenactment, they're like, aha, we found the statue. And it's like literally just behind like a sheet that's been hung up. So then they pull it down, and they're like, look, there. It's like, wow, can't believe you found that. It was so expertly hidden. But they take everything. He said they even took his children's piggy banks. and they took his wife's jewelry and like things they had inherited from their family, like anything of any value they took. And apparently Roger knew that the soldiers worked for Marcos, that they were part of his palace guard because they had these red ribbons tied on their rifles. He says that he knew if he fought back he would be killed, so there wasn't really any point, and they just sat there while the soldiers like took all their stuff. The next day, him and his brother went to report it to the local police, and then he went to visit a judge he knew personally because he had worked for him as a chef. And he wanted to know why the judge had allowed the soldiers to confiscate his treasure. I feel like Roger was like a little naive, like he had a little bit too much faith in the system
Yeah.
because the judge is like, "What are you like? What was I gonna do?" Like President Marcos asked for it, he's just gonna take it. He's going to be super mad that you made that report to the police because it makes him look bad. Honestly, your life is in danger. You should take your family and flee.
Well, and the judge actually refers to President Marcos as the prince. And then he's like,
Yes.
the prince, we don't have a prince. And he's like, yeah, we do. It's the president.
It's like we do now, and it's the president. And oh, by the way, he wants you dead.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you are fucked. You should probably
Yeah.
get out of town.
Why did you make that report to the police? That's not how any of this works. The judge has a very neat, tidy mustache, at least on the reenactor that's playing him, and I called it actually pretty good.
That's quite a compliment for a mustache.
That's what I call. Yeah, I was like, no, that's actually, if you're gonna have a mustache, solid. That guy may work for him. Okay. So at this point, Roger and his family flee to an isolated village. But by this point, reporters had already picked up the story because of the police report. Marcos has started. I don't totally understand this upcoming part of the story. So Marcos starts showing off the Buddha statue as like, look, I have the solid gold Buddha. I'm a great president. But then people were like, no way, that's a fake. And particularly his political opponents were saying like, you're a fraud, and so is that Buddha statue. So one of the political opponents convinces Roger that he should go to Manila and like publicly confirm if it's real or a fake. So Roger does, and he goes in and he looks at the statue and he's like, no, this isn't the same one. It's not the right color and the head doesn't come off. Like, I don't know that this is made of gold, but mine was made of solid gold, whatever. And then he goes on to continue to accuse President Marcos, or the prince, of stealing his wife's jewelry and stuff like that. He was like, not only is this statue not real, but President Marcos, raided my house and stole all my stuff and blah, blah, blah.
This part was a little confusing to me too, because it seems like he confirmed that it was a fake, but why use a fake?
I don't know. I feel like it might be irrelevant to this story. Like maybe he had the real one, but he didn't want to put it out because he was afraid of it getting stolen, or
yeah, that would make sense.
I don't know.
That was confusing to me, and you're right. I don't think it's super relevant, but
because Roger was like, yeah, this is a fake, but he did steal it, and he also stole my other things. And I don't know. This is probably not a surprise. I really don't know anything about politics in the Philippines. I don't know why like this would be a scandal if people were like, he's saying that's real, but that's a fake. I don't totally get that, but I'm just going with what Roger says in the segment. So since he once again accused President Marcos of stealing from him, he had to flee again. But he was tracked down 2 weeks later and forced into a car by guards who were apparently very proud that they had finally caught him, and he was taken to Manila, where they put him in a hotel room eventually and tortured him. They wanted him to authenticate the Buddha that was fake, but they also wanted him to say that he had been paid off by the opposition party. Part of his torture included electric shocks from modified car batteries. It sounds completely awful. They threatened his family, and they demanded to know where he had found the statue. But Roger had promised his friend that he would not reveal the location of the tunnels, even under threat of death. So he was in this hotel. He was tortured for weeks and didn't say anything. Which is amazing to me, because I would have given it up in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I would have been like, oh, you mean that very real gold Buddha right there, which I found at this exact address? Like, no way. But he took his promise to his friend very seriously and didn't want to tell him where it was. So after weeks and weeks of torture, he finally agreed to say that he'd been paid off by the opposition party. At this point, they let the worst of his wounds heal, and they took him to a courthouse to authenticate the Buddha, which was him just like standing in front of it and kind of pointing to
Pointing.
it for a photo. Apparently that was good enough to like prove it was the real one. And then they took him back to the hotel to torture him some more. But at this point, the worst of his wounds have healed, right, for that photo. And as you may recall, this is like something seriously out of a movie. Do you recall his occupation? That's right. He's a locksmith. So he goes into the bathroom, which has a small window that, at least in the reenactment, is just bolted with like a brass padlock. So he picks that lock and escapes and goes into the hiding for the rest of his life. He gets away.
Incredible.
I was like, this story has everything. Documents inside of statues, locksmith maneuvers, like
he escapes in the end.
He escaped because I mean, you know he's not dead because he's the one telling the story. But also, I was assuming he got like rescued or something.
They eventually let him go. Yeah, I did not expect him to.
I thought maybe he authenticated the statue and they were like, okay, fine, you can go. I don't know. Or maybe he told them where the treasure was and they let him live. But no, he never told them where the treasure was. And he escaped out of the bathroom and he went into hiding. Robert Stack tells us that the strain of living underground was stressful on his family, and him and his wife later divorced. At the time of the segment, he had remarried. And he was continuing to live at an undisclosed location in the Philippines, which is just so ballsy and great.
Yeah.
Roger is convinced that Marcos eventually found the gold bars. He doesn't like specifically say if him and his friend ever like went back to look for them or not, but it seems like they weren't too far from Roger's house. So I don't know.
Well, and Marcos has, I mean, clearly he was not opposed to stealing money from his own people, but the fact that he had such immense wealth, I think, is also what convinced them that he probably found, if not that treasure, another one, stole it from someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Also, if anybody else ever found that treasure, I'm sure he would have just stolen it. So
right.
I don't even know that he necessarily had to go look for it since he was willing to steal it. And the location of the gold Buddha statue was unknown. Apparently, it was supposedly sighted at some like Marcos family like estate somewhere, but no one's sure if that's the real one. Then we get another twist. So at the beginning, oh my God, I can't go back and forth between Robert Stack and Roger. My mouth won't do it. Okay, at the beginning of the segment, Robert Stack told us that Roger Rojas was suing the Marcos estate. So in the update, we learned that on the very day that Roger Rojas is supposed to testify in civil court for damages of the stolen property, he collapses and dies of cardiac arrest.
Is this suspicious?
I think so.
I mean, they presented that without any other context.
I don't think that's a coincidence at all.
Like the exact day?
No. I think he got poisoned or something. I honestly do. That exact day that he was going to testify in this case.
He drops dead of cardiac arrest.
Unsolved Mysteries Wiki says he leaves behind an organization to carry on the suit against him, but without his testimony, that case would be so much weaker. And I don't even know what happened with that. Wild. It is a really wild story. I actually really liked it. If you want to look this up, this is referred to as Yamashida's treasure.
Okay. Yeah, that one is really that was really interesting. For a treasure, I was surprised.
It kind of has like a lot of twists and turns. There's like a whole movie of stuff in here. I mean, poor Roger though.
I know.
Poor Roger. Yeah, he had some permanent damage from all of that torture, but also he clearly just had this like spirit of like, don't mess with that guy. Yeah, because he was still like, I worked so hard for that treasure. We dug for weeks. How dare they take it from me? Like, it wasn't even like, how dare they like kidnap me and torture me? It's like, that treasure belonged to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. So
That
I
one's wild.
worth watching, I say. All right, Samantha, you have an unexplained death, which is yet another New Mexico mystery.
A lot of mysteries happening in New Mexico.
It's a mysterious place.
So, this is the unexplained death of Caitlin Arquette. On June 14th, 1989, 18-year-old Caitlin Arquette graduated from Highland High School in Albuquerque, New Mexico. She went by Kate. She was popular. She was outgoing. She was an honor student. She had recently had been accepted at the University of New Mexico, and she had plans of one day attending med school. Shortly before graduation, she used money that she received from an insurance settlement to move in with her boyfriend. Kate's mother, Lois Duncan, was aware of the arrangement, but she wasn't like entirely up to speed on the details. She only later found out that Kate's boyfriend was 8 years older than her. Um, because Kate had actually lied to them and said that he was only 4 years older than her when they first started dating. I don't know if that's like super suspicious, but
It's
that
a little
is something that
weird.
came out later. It is a bit weird. Um, her Lois tells Unsolved Mysteries that she wouldn't have let Kate date someone that much older than her. But she did say that she thought he was a nice guy. He came around the house a lot. They liked him at the time. 6 weeks after they moved in together on July 16th, Kate met up with her mother and at that time admitted that her and her boyfriend had been having serious problems almost from the moment they moved in. Kate wanted her mother to lie to her boyfriend regarding her whereabouts. And she seemed very, very upset. In the reenactment, her mom doesn't want to tell him that like she's staying with a friend because that would be a lie.
You know what? If your daughter needs you to lie to like so her boyfriend doesn't know where she is, just do it, please.
Yeah, I'm
Just
gonna
do
say
it.
just do it. It is a lie, but I think it's okay. Sometimes we have to tell a lie. Uh,
Just no,
yeah,
like you're not gonna I feel like in general you're not gonna have something like that unless it's important. I don't know. It's not like she was going on some like girls trip or cheating or something. She was just like,
right.
I don't want to go home to the apartment. So
Yeah, I'm gonna say just lie.
just lie.
Maybe load the boyfriend in a rocket and shoot him to the moon.
Yeah, like be very suspicious of the boyfriend at that point.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah, I
just
mean
like don't even talk to him.
they live together, and she's saying that she doesn't want him to know where she is. So that is a
Yeah, I
pretty
don't
big
like
red
it. I
flag.
don't like it.
That we should consider as we go through this mystery. So Kate that night visited her girlfriend. She was there from 9:30 p.m. to about 10:45, and then she headed east along Lomas Road towards her mother's house. It is believed that while she was on her way home, a car pulled up alongside her and someone in the other car shot her twice in the head. Or a little bit before midnight, Lois Duncan received a phone call from the emergency room. They said that Kate was there, that she'd been injured, but wouldn't tell her what happened over the phone. And then when she got to the hospital, Kate was in a coma from two gunshots
Uh,
to the head. 5 hours later, police arrived at Kate's apartment. Her boyfriend was there. He was home alone. He was seemingly unaware that his girlfriend had been shot and was close to death. Detective Steve Gallegos of the Albuquerque Police Department questioned him on his whereabouts. And Kate's boyfriend said that he had been out with a couple of friends. They had eaten, they played pool, they had a couple of drinks. And then when he got home, he discovered a note on top of the kitchen table. The note, according to Detective Steve, read something to the effect of, "Hun, I'll be home at a certain time." He indicated that the note came from Caitlin. Uh,
do you think they
Later,
ever have anyone else look at that note?
well, so the Unsolved, I don't remember this in the episode, but the Unsolved wiki asserts that the handwriting wasn't Kate's. So I
Yeah.
think later on the family must have had a chance to look at it and didn't believe that it was Kate's handwriting.
Okay.
So the police left the apartment. Her boyfriend headed straight to the hospital and joined her family at her bedside. Less than 24 hours later, Caitlin died. 6 months later, police ruled that Caitlin Arquette had been the victim of a random act of violence, but her
Yeah,
mother
sure. Okay.
refused to accept this ruling. Yeah,
I
pretty
refuse to accept this ruling too, but I don't come to the same conclusion as the mother.
I think we're on the same page. Following her daughter's death, Caitlyn's mother began to uncover quote dark hints that Caitlyn had somehow gotten mixed up with a major criminal organization.
In Albuquerque?
Yeah,
Okay.
2.5 months before she was killed, Caitlyn and her boyfriend took a trip to Southern California. According to Lois, Kate had become involved in a complex insurance scam after her boyfriend
No, it
rear-ended
really
her mother.
wasn't that complex. It was a pretty basic
No.
insurance scam.
Uh, this part is so weird because
It's very strange.
they claim that they got mixed up with a powerful Vietnamese gang, and Caitlyn's
Words I
boyfriend
hear every day.
rented a car and then rear-ended their co-conspirators who were in this gang, and everyone involved in the accident pretended to have soft tissue injuries to the neck, lower back, and they were later, apparently according to this theory, treated by a doctor who was part like in the gang and part of the fraud. I don't know. And then a law firm in Orange County, California handled the insurance claims. They claimed that the people in the law firm were in on it. It's
I
like,
think there are cases like this, and they're really not that complicated. That people have, yeah, like a fake accident or a conceived accident. They have tissue damage, which is like harder to prove. They go to someone that's in, a doctor that's in on it to like sign off of it, and then everybody gets like a little cut of the money.
sure, not
Yeah,
complicated. I'm
yeah.
sure happens. Uh,
I don't know. My point is that I don't think you need like a powerful Vietnamese gang for that to happen. Like you do need some sort of conspiracy because multiple people are in on the scam. But I don't know that it's really like that complicated or would involve people that are like that violent, I guess is my point.
are you saying that she didn't get mixed up with a major criminal enterprise?
I feel like her parents are kind of racist is actually my point.
Yeah, I think that's more likely. Uh, so I don't know. This is what
The way that
Lois
the mom
Duncan
keeps
said.
like trying to blame quote the Vietnamese doesn't really sit well with me.
Nah, I don't like it. And this is what
No.
Lois Duncan tells Unsolved Mysteries. Quote, it was evidently a major multi-million dollar insurance scam. Yet Caitlin and her boyfriend only got $1,500. So I guess I don't really understand how they got to this conclusion, but whatever.
They're on the low end of that scheme.
And this is further confusing because apparently, like, Caitlin was supposed to be in on this, but her mother claims that she like found out about it and they wanted to silence her.
Well, okay, Samantha, according to this woman's theory that I don't agree with, is that she found out that the extent of it. Like she found out, oh my god, this goes all the way to the top, which I guess is, I don't know, it somehow involves a gang. It was bigger than she thought it was initially, but I think that's sort of
Yeah.
also a way of like both saying my daughter was involved in fraudulent behavior and also she's not the bad one.
Yeah, I think that's honestly more likely. So she was Lois's theory is that she found out about this, yeah, the extent of the scam, and she decided she was going to break up with her boyfriend, but that put her in danger due to the people he was involved with. A few weeks after Caitlin's death, her mother made another disturbing discovery, which is that 3 calls had been made from Kate's apartment at almost the exact moment of her death. This was a little strange because they lived alone, and her boyfriend was at her side when she died. So it's not clear like how these
Huh.
calls were made from their apartment. That is a mystery. I don't know. I They
That is
think that
weird.
it had something to do with the paralegal who set up the claims for the I don't know.
Okay. All right. Everybody calm down.
So Lois asked a local crime reporter, this is Mike Gallagher, to investigate. He first spoke to Kate's former landlord, and he said that he got the impression from neighbors that Caitlin was more afraid of her boyfriend's friends rather than actually afraid of her boyfriend himself. I don't know. She
Okay.
would get um like Apparently, he had Vietnamese friends, and she was disturbed when they only spoke Vietnamese around her. That was what the neighbor said.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
I don't know. Mike Gallagher was able to obtain a copy of the note that the police. Oh, here it is. The police believed that Kate had left for her boyfriend on the day of the shooting. He compared it with another sample of her handwriting and said it was obvious that the handwriting in the note was not Caitlin's. And I am looking at a picture of it right now, and it's like very. It kind of looks like if you had written with your non-dominant hand. Like,
Okay.
it's really
Yeah.
strange handwriting. So I think you would know for sure if it's a very unique handwriting. So he said it was clear that Caitlin had not written that note. Um,
That's
Caitlin's
interesting.
mother remained convinced that her daughter's death was related to the insurance scam, but the police were going in a completely different direction. 6 months after the murder, an informant led police to a young man named, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Juvenal Escobedo. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong and I'm really sorry. They discovered that Escobedo had recently sold his brown Chevrolet Camaro. On the night of Caitlin's murder, a truck driver had reported seeing a brown Camaro chasing a young woman in a car similar to Caitlin's. In the end, the charges were dropped because the police could not connect him to the gun or the shooting. And then finally, under pressure from Kate's family, the police questioned her boyfriend again, which seems like where they should have focused their energy, in my opinion. This time, he admitted that he and a friend had taken part in the insurance scam, but maintained his innocence in her death. Charges have never been filed against him or any of his friends, nor is he considered a suspect in Kate's murder. This crime reporter, Mike Gallagher, was unsatisfied with the police's investigation, as am I, honestly.
Yeah, it
Um,
sounds real lazy.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't agree with the police or her family. It seems like
Nope.
she was afraid of her boyfriend.
Yep.
She didn't want to stay with him.
Yep.
Maybe we should be giving a little bit more scrutiny his way, because who is most likely to murder a woman?
Yep.
Her romantic partner, especially if it's a man. Just saying. Let me see if the Unsolved Mysteries wiki has any updates.
The vast, vast majority of the time, women are victims of violence. It's because of their intimate partners or other family members. So I don't really think she's part of some crime syndicate. They got mad at her. I
They may have done the scam. It seems like they did do the scam, and probably it was her boyfriend's idea. They only got $1,500. They used it to put like a down payment on this apartment. If they were a part of this multi-million-dollar scam, they only got $1,500. Like,
honestly, I
it's
feel
a
like
yeah,
her being a part of this scam, even if she wanted to turn other people in, I don't see how she would be privy to evidence against them. Like even if she found out like, "Oh, it's bigger than I thought." So, like what?
yeah,
What evidence would she have to like give the authorities and turn in all these people? You know what I mean? Like
right,
her just like becoming aware of something isn't really that much of a threat.
yeah,
Just like her opinion or her thought isn't evidence. So I don't know
yeah.
that
It's
they
not.
really would be that threatened by her. Like, first of all, she took part in it, so she's like a bit guilty. But also, what is she gonna do? Say like, "Oh, that doctor." I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't sound like she
Yeah,
had like some proof of anything. Um, I mean, I find the boyfriend incredibly suspicious here, but it's also the racism in this segment can makes it kind of hard to parse out what he's actually like because
well, and they didn't seem to focus on him at all, so we do not get a lot of information. Like,
no, they
is
weirdly
his
are like,
did they
well, it's
look into his
obviously not
alibi?
him. Yeah, how solid is his alibi that he was out with friends?
We
Does
never
anyone
heard.
ask him about this note that she clearly didn't write? Um, why was she scared to go home? Like,
Yeah, we have a ton of unanswered questions that they never went into. The Unsolved Mysteries wiki has a little bit more information, but it's not it's nothing conclusive. It says that Lois hired a private investigator who discovered that a man named Paul Podaka was found standing next to Caitlin's car when the police arrived at the scene. His information was taken down, but he was allowed to leave. He was also never interviewed by the police about the case. Lois,
Why? What? Why
this
are they
is why,
so lazy?
first of all, this man doesn't seem to be white, and Lois was disturbed, according to Unsolved Mysteries Wiki, to learn that he had an extensive criminal history with multiple convictions for attacking women, which maybe was true, but that doesn't mean that he didn't also maybe witness her go off the road and call the police. I don't know. Like,
I don't want to be rude, but having a criminal record in Albuquerque is not that special. That doesn't make that guy guilty of anything other than the stuff he was already tried and convicted for. Like, that's not a reason to look at him.
I mentioned that he's not white because it seems like Lois is
her
Lois only suspects.
Lois has got some issues. I did really like that the guy with the brown car, his alibi was that he was in jail.
Yeah.
That's a solid alibi. Hard to get around that one.
And yes, you can be pretty certain of where he was. Unlike the boyfriend, where was he? We have no idea. So anyway, Lois was, I think, concerned that this might have been the part. Why would you stick around? Why would you do this?
That makes
and then
no
stick
sense.
around and wait for the police? It doesn't even make any sense.
Lois is racist. I don't know why she's convinced of the boyfriend's innocence. I guess just because she liked the boyfriend.
I guess.
But her daughter was scared of him.
Yeah. The private investigator also discovered that Caitlin's car had been hit by at least one vehicle before it went off the road and crashed into a light pole, as evidenced by the damage to the left rear bumper and the side of the car. It is not known why the police investigators did not release this information. I think they were just doing a bad job. Lois suspects that the police department was involved in a cover-up involving the case. No, I think we've talked about this before.
I think it's just incompetence. Yeah.
Or didn't care. Or didn't do a good job, whatever. Like,
there wasn't someone that was like obviously guilty, though. I mean, that's debatable. But when this one lead didn't work out because the guy was actually in jail, I feel like they were like, some random act of violence, we'll never know. Like, I just don't even feel like they really tried.
No, and I understand that your daughter died, and maybe you don't want to believe that it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it was easier to think it's random than it's someone we liked that we let in our house that we,
Yeah, but he has this whole like conspiracy about this gang and this police cover up, and I don't know that it's that complicated, Lois.
I don't think it is. And also, Lois was comfortable going on TV sounding real racist. So
in 2003, a cold case squad investigating the case determined that she had been shot after the car collided with the light pole. This was based on the accuracy of the shots, which suggested that they were fired at a close range. I don't know what that tells us, though. Like, so the person ran her off the road
and then shot her. It actually makes a lot more sense. It would be quite kind of stealthy to just
drive up and just
shoot through the window with a handgun and drive away. Like, yeah, that seems like something out of a movie. So,
yeah, this is unsolved and it's probably going to remain unsolved. Lois passed away on June 15th, 2016, and there's been no further progress in the investigation. I don't know if the case is cold or if they just, I guess they haven't solved it. Ruling it a random act of violence doesn't mean the case is closed, but I'm not sure anyone's looking into it, unfortunately.
That's really sad.
Yeah, it is really sad. So, that's that.
Well, I think this teaches us that if you ever don't want to take responsibility for something, you should just blame a gigantic crime syndicate.
Yeah.
Give it a try. See if it works. Okay. We have one more mystery, and it is a lost love. And Samantha didn't get it. I did.
It's a bummer. Well, you got the treasure. Although it was a good treasure, so...
guess it kind of balances out. Okay. And this is a kind of weird... it's kind of weird lost love, too. So it starts with August 4th, 1990, and we see 24-year-old Sharon Tapane getting married and or told that every important person in her life is there, except one, which we flash back to 20 years earlier, and a 4-year-old girl named Terry Lynn Smith had come to live with the Tapane house temporarily. She was there for 6 years, so not very temporarily, and was thought of to be a member of the family. However, they had not seen her in over a decade, and the family feels incomplete. So the Tappan family was a large family. They had 6 boys and 3 girls.
A lot of
Uh,
kids.
Oh my god, my vagina hurts so much just thinking about it. So they loved horses, and they got to know the manager of the ranch where they boarded their horses, and his name was Tim Smith. So Tim had 2 children, a boy and a girl, who lived with him in a small trailer on the ranch. However, one day he's talking to Mrs. Tappan, and he mentions that he doesn't feel like the ranch is a place to raise a small girl. Not really sure why.
Okay. The details of this arrangement is fair. This is another
That's why I was
mystery.
saying it was weird. Yeah.
Like, does she never get to leave the ranch? Like, these people bring their entire family because they board their horses. So, like, the woman who's the mom is interviewed for the show and says that she was just surrounded by cowboys all the time. But like, you come there and you
Right.
have 10 kids.
Right. Yeah, because the mom's like, oh, she was there by herself. She didn't have any children to play with. And I was like, well, she has a sibling, for one. Also, surely other people come to this ranch. I don't understand why it's a worse place to raise a girl than a boy.
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't really understand that. Presumably, she's eventually going to go to school.
I would hope.
So,
But okay, so anyway, they had this conversation and he was like, "Oh, I feel like the ranch isn't really the place to raise a small girl." And very weirdly, Mrs. Tapane took that as an invitation to go talk to her husband that maybe they could have one more kid live with. They already have 9 children. And she was
she
like,
wants one more.
there was always room for one more. And I was like, really? When you have 9? How? There wasn't room 6 children ago. What are you talking about? So she goes back and offers to let Terry Lynn come live with them. And this guy says yes. He didn't even, I find it super weird. He didn't even ask. He wasn't like, look, we're really struggling. These are hard times. Would you mind taking Terry Lynn in for a while? And then they were like, oh, of course, right? He just mentions, like, I don't know that a girl should be growing up on a horse ranch. And this
Seems
woman's
like
like,
the best place for a girl to grow up. Girls
yeah.
love horses. Speaking as hashtag horse girl,
This is my dream.
I
What do you
would
mean?
love
What do you mean?
to grow up on a horse ranch. I
Samantha's
don't
like,
understand.
I want to ride a horse when I first wake up and right before I go to bed every day. What are you talking
That would
about?
I had dreams of living on a horse ranch as a child. I don't really understand. And it's not like this. It didn't seem like this was like a working like cow ranch, or maybe it was. I don't know. It seems like they boarded other people's
I think,
horses.
yeah,
That's
it was
like
just where people boarded horses. And
completely
they, like,
normal.
probably
Like
trained horses and maybe bred horses, but I don't really see why that would be bad.
lots of kids grow up on farms. And
Yeah. It's
completely
very
normal.
strange. She acts like this makes sense. Like, when you're talking to someone you don't really know and you just offer to take their kid? And I was like,
And then they
no.
say yes.
And then they enthusiastically say, yes, please take my kid. I'm not worried about you, I don't know, molesting my child or selling her what? Just take her. Just take my kid. So anyway,
Very strange.
the agreement they come to is that he will take care of their horses for free so that she can stay with them.
This is what I was wondering, and I don't want to accuse these people of anything, but is that really the deal? The boarding horses is expensive. These people have 10 kids. They want to keep their horses. Did they work out some kind of weird deal where they would take care of his daughter in exchange for horse boarding?
I kind of think so.
It's really what it seems like. They didn't want to say that on national TV, but like maybe that was the real arrangement.
But she's like sold for horse care.
Okay, maybe that's not true. But I'm just saying
Allegedly.
It appears to be the case.
It's
anyway, that was part of the arrangement. He did take care of their horses in
took
exchange
for free. So there was a like financial incentive for them, because I'm sure that's quite expensive, opposed to feeding one more child when you only have 9. Just a little bit more macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, I can't imagine having multiple horses and 10 kids. Like,
how can anyone afford to have 10 kids?
I have no idea.
How do you afford to have one? I
I
don't
mean,
know.
yeah,
Who
yeah.
knows? So then we get a lot of flashbacks of time with Terry Lynn was very happy. All the children loved her. And Shannon, who we saw her wedding at the beginning, was close to Terry in age. So the two of them really bonded. They spent a lot of time together. They learned how to swim together. I mean, of course, the Tipanes had a pool because they're people who can have 9 children and board horses. So, um, yeah, she got to swim in the pool and I don't know, actually go to school, which I'm not clear if she was doing at the ranch. And yeah, well, eventually, Mr. Tepane dies of cancer, and Mama Tepane goes back to work as a nurse. So she was working the night shift so she could send the children off to school and be there when they got home. And then the older children had to take care of the younger ones at night. I don't know, maybe that was legal. It's not ideal, but money was tight, and that was like the only way they could make it work. At this point, she decides that it's time for Terry to go back to live with her father, even though she's been living there for 6 years. 6 like very fundamental years to her development. Like
The
she probably barely remembers. Now she's been seeing her dad on the weekends. It's not like she hasn't seen her dad at all. But like this is her home, and these people are basically her siblings.
okay, so it did seem like they took really good care of this girl. The mom seems relatively nice, but the way she talks about sending her back
It's
in
weird.
it is
It's weird. It's weird because she's been saying like, "Oh, she's a part of the family." Blah blah blah. Well, it was time to send her back to live with her dad. It's like that's not what happens when people are part of your family.
she goes, "When I told the kids, they were so upset, but I was like, you know what? It shit happens. This is how
Yeah,
things go sometimes." What? You basically said she was like another daughter to you.
it's like, yeah. Well, look, I can feed 9 of you motherfuckers, but I can't feed 10. One of you got to go, and it's gonna be the one that can live at a horse ranch. Yeah, it's really weird. I feel like, I don't know, these kids would have like gotten part-time jobs to help out with money, or they clearly didn't want her to leave. Like,
No.
can't they start some sort of babysitters club or something? Like,
And you're right,
I
like
this should have been such the she seems to have come to this. I get it. Money's tight and hard decisions had to be made. But she comes to this decision, it seems like very easily. Like it should have been a harder choice. Where she was
yeah.
just sort of like, well, look, maybe she was part of the family, but she also wasn't really my daughter. So get the hell out, Terry Lynn.
Disturbing because it's not like she had 2 kids and it was like, you know what, I can only feed 1 kid. It's she had 9.
Samantha, there's a
Is there
limit.
is there that much difference between 9 and 10? It's still a shit ton of people to feed.
It's hard to imagine that it was, and I feel like she probably could have gotten all of her other kids to agree to eat a little less or something.
Yes.
It's like, all right, you only get 1.5 slices of pizza each. I don't know. This is a weird solution to after she's been there for more than 6 years.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. This is bizarre.
So anyway, they make her go back and live with her dad. And they say it as like, yeah, she was sad to leave, but she was also, excited to spend more time with her dad. And I was like, yeah, but that's not like her home at this point.
Yeah, and it also like wasn't her choice.
Right.
So
Right. They've kicked her out.
yeah.
Like she loves him like a family, and they've kicked her out. And even if she kind of understands the motivation for that, even if she's like, oh yeah, since my basic dad died, money's been tight, I get it. Like that's still gonna hurt so much.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe sell some shit. God,
I
I
don't
feel really bad for her. Well, surprise, surprise. She wasn't great about keeping in touch. After you kick her to the curb. Not that this seems to shock all of them, but does not shock me.
know.
That Terry
Not
Lynn
kept in
doesn't
touch at
keep in
all.
touch. Yeah. The last time they see her is in 1980, and she was 16 years old at the time. She was no longer living with her father as a 16-year-old. Did they invite her to come? Like, clearly living with her father didn't work. Wasn't a good idea. There's a reason he let her go in the first place. He's not a great parent. So she's living with her boyfriend at 16 years old. Did they offer for her to come back? No. I do not like these people.
At 16, you're already living on your own. She could get a job at the local diner. Like,
I know.
what? Yeah, I don't know. I don't like these people.
Really? really someone that you like, yeah, are supposedly considered as part of your family. You consider your daughter. It didn't work out living with her dad. Surprise, surprise. You're gonna let her live with her boyfriend, be on her own at 16, and you're just gonna be
Apparently.
like, well, that's the way that goes.
Apparently.
I feel no obligation to intervene at all. But she brought her boyfriend by to meet them, and that was the last time they saw him. And it had been more than 10 years. Oh, what happened to Terry Lynn? She knows where we live. Why isn't she kept in touch? Oh, I wonder why. Ugh. Anyway, the update is that she is found. Don't worry. She's not dead. She's just, I assume, not interested in keeping up with these people that she thought loved them, and then they just kicked her out. So a viewer's tip, this is from Unsolved Mysteries Wiki, a viewer's tip led to a reunion between Terry, who was engaged and living in Lake Elsinore, California, and the Tapanes on February 5th, 1993. They remain in touch. Sadly,
All right.
Jerry, who I believe is Mrs. Tapane, died in 1999 at age 72. Yes, that is Mrs. Tapane. This is mean, but I can't say that I'm that sad.
Not especially.
Okay, look, maybe she was a lovely woman. She did not come off well in this segment. She is on national TV admitting that she let a child into her home, kind of weirdly, but whatever. You could make it sound generous. And she still comes off as like awful. Where I was just like, how dare you?
It really seems like they traded horse care for a child.
Yeah.
She had a good, she grew up happy. They gave her a loving home. Okay, that's nice. But then when she became inconvenient.
Maybe they didn't have horses. Okay, I'm guessing money's tight, right? Maybe you don't have those horses anymore. Maybe you sold them. Maybe you don't need free horse care anymore. Well, then why are you making one extra helping of mac and cheese with little hot dogs in it? You can just send this kid back.
It's really how it appears. It's really how it comes off. And
I'm sorry, Terry Lynn. I can make 9 bologna sandwiches with absolutely no condiments, but I can't make 10. So guess who's going back to the ranch?
I don't know.
People feed kids garbage food, and I just refuse to believe that they could feed 9 of them and not 10 of them. I refuse.
Yes.
They're not eating like crab souffles. Oh my god. Okay, that is the end of the episode. It feels a little short, but that's because that treasure mystery was so long, and it might still be going on today. So we have to rate it now.
Let's rate it. Mysteriousness? I don't know
actually,
how mysterious.
Yeah, I was gonna say your mystery was kind of mysterious, but it's kind of not.
My perspective on it is that it's not that mysterious, but
it's allegedly not very mysterious.
Yes, allegedly not that mysterious.
That's a new legal term I just came up with. Oh man, if only I could have presented that to the jury. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna say thumbs down for mysteriousness.
Yeah. Reenactments?
Fine.
They were okay. I don't know. There weren't a ton of reenactments in mine because they showed a lot of home video footage.
Oh yeah, that's true. That was kind of cute though, to see kids riding horses.
The little kids riding the horses, like the 2 of them on one horse. It was so cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how
I will say Shannon, the sibling that was having the wedding and wanted to find Terry Lynn, she did not seem terrible like her mom.
Oh no, she seemed nice.
She seemed fine. So
all the kids were probably in the same boat. They didn't want her to leave.
Yeah. So I just want to be clear that I'm not throwing her under the bus. She seemed perfectly pleasant. The mom I have some serious reservations about, but
the reenactment wars were actually, your first one were actually pretty good.
Yeah, there's some kind of questionable music choices. Yeah, that's just kind of a pet peeve of mine when you get this sort of like chopsticks inspired music every time something takes place in Asia. It's very tiresome. But the reenactments weren't bad, I don't think.
No, they were a little bit Indiana Jones, like the tunneling underground and like finding gold bars. Yeah, I liked it.
So,
thumb sideways.
Yeah, thumb sideways. I was gonna say thumbs up. I couldn't even bring myself to say it. So thumbs sideways.
I think it's a sideways. How do you feel with the fashion?
Nothing really stood out to me that much.
Not really. I didn't even really see that many mustaches other than the one.
Yeah, the actually pretty good. even with seeing all those kids, we didn't really get a ton of 90s looks. They dressed kind of, I don't know, not that trendy, not that extravagantly. So
Yeah.
just a lot of stripes.
Thumbs
It's a
down.
very Tommy Hilfiger family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say thumbs down. A little disappointing. Could have been better.
Could have been better. Robert Stack?
Barely in it.
I don't know that I really even remember. Other than at the very beginning, he says you're standard, perhaps it's you.
He does say that perhaps as you quote, somewhere. That's a classic.
Classic Robert Stack quote.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not really in it that much.
Yeah.
I don't think it really stands out a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
He might have been taking like a half day.
He had a vacation day.
Yeah.
Yeah, sideways, down.
He's
I don't know.
Robert Stack using up his PTO on this episode. Yeah, I mean sideways. It's not like it was bad, but
yeah,
nothing remarkable.
Nothing to write home about. Okay, so on our Robert Stack scale, I did like this one.
I do like it. I'm gonna say 3.5, maybe.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on a 3.5.
It's not like quite to a 4. If we could have gotten one more mystery.
Yeah, I agree.
If they could have thrown in a little even just a little wanted, just a short one.
Oh, a special alert, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, that could have pushed it up.
Or if we had gotten a reunion, because they didn't record the reunion for the last one.
I wonder if Tammy Lynn wasn't so like she wasn't looking for them. She knew where they were.
This is selfish of me because we're not entitled to like see these intimate moments, these private moments of people's lives. But I really wanted it because I kind of wanted to like analyze her body language in a way that's not scientific at all. I wanted to kind of be like, is she giving them like a forced smile?
Like, oh,
like,
hi.
Yeah, but we didn't get that, so I don't know. 3.5.
Yeah, I agree. I would go with a 3.5. Though I would say watch it. If you're on the fence,
yeah,
I think it's pretty good. It
one.
It could have been a little bit better.
Yes. All right, so we come to the end of the episode and we're at our recommendations segment.
Oh, I have such a lazy one. I'm gonna be as lazy as the Albuquerque police investigating that murder right now. So we had our cloth mask / dog bandana sale today, and that was to benefit the local libraries damaged in the Minneapolis uprising recently. Particularly the East Lake Library was really damaged putting out some fires, so we wanted to help out. Several people asked if they could just give money to the library directly.
Oh, yeah.
I guess they don't need dog bandanas. Hard to believe. But yes, of course. You could just give money to the library. So I wanted to share where all of that money is going to be going to. It is through the local library equity fund, and the fund that we're donating to is called Justice for All. We're supporting Justice for All. And this is what it says. First and foremost, your donation will be used to help us restore the libraries most affected by recent unrest in Minneapolis. In addition, a variety of other libraries are situated in the heart of neighborhoods that sustain damage. Your generosity will help fund new programs and resources focused on tackling the persistent poverty and inequality facing our Black, Brown, and Indigenous friends and neighbors. Each of our 41 library locations plays a critical role in supporting fair, inclusive community that uplifts everyone, no exceptions. So that is where we're giving the money that we get from the sale. And if you want to just directly give money to them, we would appreciate that as well. We've recorded our very first episode at Hennepin County Library. So it makes sense that we would give back. And we've had book clubs there. We use it as a resource all the time. So we're happy to help them out. So you can find that link at supporthclib.org and /justice-for-all.
Nice. Great recommendation.
I know it's super lazy, but it's still a good recommendation.
Oh, absolutely. All right, my recommendation is for something that maybe you want to watch when you've finished binging the new Unsolved Mysteries reboot.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
What I did, I was looking for something to watch after I'd finished that, and I landed on a show that I've been meaning to watch for a while. It's been out for a couple months now, and it is The Big Flower Fight on Netflix.
Yes, tell me everything.
Okay, I'm only like 3 episodes in. I was expecting this to be like Great British Bake Off, except with flowers, and that's pretty much what it is. I really
Nice.
like it. Premise of the show is that teams of different people, and some of them are florists, some of them have never worked with flowers at all, some of them are sculptors, artists, there's like a fashion design team, teams of two.
Okay.
They're competing in these like flower arrangement. I don't even, they're like living sculptures, really. Arrangement. I don't think that is
Sure.
it justice. They make these living sculptures out of flowers and plants each episode, and in each episode, one is chosen as the winner. One team goes home, and the ultimate prize is they get to display their work at London's Royal Botanic Gardens. I think there might also be a cash prize. Um,
Oh.
and the arrangements they make are spectacular. In the first episode, the theme was it was bugs and pollinators, and so they were making a living arrangement that would attract pollinators, but was also in the shape of a giant bug.
Oh my god, I love
And
it.
no spoilers, but they're amazing. And my favorite one was this moth that this
I mean,
group
of
did.
course.
And it was everyone in the show is eccentric. The judges are delightful. There's a guest judge each time, and then there's like the host, and then the standard judge, and they're hilarious and delightful. And they were expecting this moth to be super ugly, but then it ended up being spectacularly beautiful. um it's very interesting to watch how they choose the plants and the structure, and what they come up with is incredible. I will say that I wish it was more like the Great British Baking Show, where they have like a couple different competitions.
Yeah.
Like maybe they make
Per
a smaller
episode, you mean?
arrangement as like a mini challenge, and then they make the bigger one. So far, at least, it's just been one project per episode. And I do think that maybe makes a little bit of sense because they're so huge and take so much time to create. Like I think in the first episode they gave them 12 hours.
Wow.
That there's probably just not time to do like mini challenges or things like that, but I do wish there was a little bit more just to like, I don't know, because you watch people making these sculptures that there's not like a ton to it, although it is interesting to see like their creative process and stuff like that. But I'm liking it. There's only one season. I think it's like just came out this year. But as a person that loves gardening and loves plants, quite like it. Quite enjoy it.
I might watch that literally tonight. That sounds great.
It's just light too. Like, I don't know. We
Yeah.
read a book for book club this month that was like kind of horrifying, and
Yeah. Yep.
binging the Unsolved Mysteries kind of gave me nightmares. Like, even though I really liked it, it kind of like, I don't
It's a lot.
know.
It's a lot to process. They're very dramatic, horrible, sad cases.
Yeah, and I feel
Sometimes
like
you just need a little downtime to kind of process everything, and obviously there's a lot going on too.
well, plus
So,
everything that's going on in the world, it's just there's a lot of dark things, and I feel like I needed something a little bit lighter, and this is it. This is just people making beautiful art out of flowers on a huge scale. All of the contestants are delightful, the hosts are delightful. So if you're looking for something a little bit lighter, I definitely recommend the Big Flower Fight.
I have to tell my mom immediately. You might think my mom just reads trashy books about werewolves, but no, she's actually also a very skilled floral arranger, or
I'm so
however.
impressed by people that can arrange
I am
flowers.
not at all. I should have her teach me some stuff. She studied like traditional Japanese flower arranging, ikebana,
That's
and
amazing.
yeah, she's very good at flower arranging, but it's not a skill that I possess, but
And it really
I do
takes
respect.
skill.
Yeah, it
You
really does. You
cannot
think you
just
just
throw flowers in a vase and it looks nice.
I mean, probably if you've ever just thrown flowers in a vase, you've kind of realized, oh wait, this is actually like takes a lot of like thinking about size and composition and color and arrangement. It's something that like gets very technical very quickly. Because if you just throw a bunch of flowers in a vase, you go, wow, that kind of looks like shit.
There's a composition you have to consider, and textures
Yeah,
and colors, and then like something else I'm learning about arranging plants is like specific types of plants, like when you cut them have different shelf lives, and when you're making something that
sure.
lasts, like it's not, it has to last, like it's going to take you 12 hours to construct it, and then they display these So it has to then continue to live or like be, you know, the flowers can't wilt. It has to be able to have like a life, and there's specific flowers you have to treat differently. So there's a ton to it. And yeah, I tip my hat to anyone that can arrange flowers because it is not a skill I possess. But I love looking at flower arrangements.
I once went and sat in on a class at University of Illinois. They had a class in arranging flowers to music,
Ooh.
where you would basically create a little routine. Like you would almost like ice skating or something. You would like pick a song and then you would perform like putting your arrangement in a vase or whatever like to the music while people watched.
That is
That
not
was a
something I want
class.
to do, but I really want to see.
It was pretty cool to see. I don't know if they
Amazing.
still offer that class, but if you're at U of I don't know. Check it out. It
Professional
was kind of amazing.
musical flower arrangers?
Yeah. So you had to like
Wow.
practice making the same arrangement multiple times so it would like fit the music, and people would like pick arrangements that fit their songs, and even just like their movements of putting the things in the vase would like be kind of dancing. I don't know how this ended up being a thing, but it was impressive.
Amazing.
Okay, I think that's everything for today. So let's plug our shit and get out of here to watch the great flower fight.
All right, let's do it.
We're on social media, Facebook. We have a Facebook group. We have multiple Facebook groups because we're so cool. One of them is just for people who like our show and Animal Crossing. So you can find we have a normal Facebook group as well. And then we have a Twitter where I fight with people, and we have an Instagram where you can buy dog bandanas. So really, we are just taking over the web. Watch out, information superhighway. What else? Okay, we have a website, perhapsitsyou.com. You can find our recommendations there and also our contact stuffs. And if you want to send us an email, maybe with a spooky story of something that happened to you or a psychic dream that you had, that's perhapsitsyouPodcast@gmail.com.
Check it out. Oh, and then if you want to throw us a little bit of extra money, we are going to be covering the Netflix reboot on our Patreon bonus episodes, and it only costs you $1 a month. And you immediately get access to our back catalog, which is like 30 episodes at this point.
So many episodes somehow.
Best deal in
month,
town.
We're going to be talking about the first 2 mysteries of the reboot. So the first 2 episodes.
And I think Liz needs to cover the second episode. Do you agree?
Whoa. Okay, sure.
I have a need for you to hear your take on episode 2, which I know we'd hear anyway, but I kind of want you to cover that one.
It's gonna be something. Okay, so that will be our Patreon bonus episode this month. If you give us $5, you get a coloring sheet every month, which is also a great deal, and we have a whole back catalog of those. And if you give us $10 a month, you get like a gift every quarter. You get like a cool little package. One's going to be going out this month, and I'm excited about it. Okay. But you don't get to know what that is yet. That's a surprise. Oh, 5-star reviews. The only type of reviews we accept. iTunes, Apple Podcasts. Leave those 5-star reviews.
We appreciate it.
Yes. All right. Thanks, everyone. If you are in a place where the pandemic is gone, solve some mysteries, but Americans, fucking stay home, please. Oh, my God.
Stay home.
Stay home. Take naps. Eat snacks. Do whatever you can, but don't go out and not wear a mask and cough in people's faces.
Please don't do that.
Please. Okay, bye.